Anyhow, thank you for taking the time to speak to us. How has the off season been for you as a manager? Do you actually get time off?
Yes, I do get time off. I had two holidays this year and enjoyed both. But, and there is a big but, the job is always with you. So whether that's phone calls, whether that's emotionally, I'm always half in Newcastle.
You're always invested in the game, in the job as Newcastle manager.
Absolutely.
What did you actually get up to? What does Eddie Howe like to do on holiday? Is he a beach person? Is he a city person? Is he go to play pickleball or paddle every day?
Well, I think if you look at my natural tanning colour, right, I'm certainly not a sun person. So I tend to not really beach going. I'm sort of quite active, so I like sport. I like cities. I like to keep very busy, and of course, with three kids, three young lads, it's mostly built around them really, and making sure they enjoy their holidays too.
Very important. Family time is crucial to life. The Euros happen as well during the summer, of course. Did you watch any teams? Did you look out for anybody in particular apart from England, being English yourself, of course?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I watched that mainly for my players that were playing, whichever countries that is. So whether that's Copa America or whether that's in Europe, just hoping that they do well, have good experiences, and most importantly, they come back injury free. So certainly a big eye on England and with Kieran and Anthony, and willing them on to do well. And all the players thankfully had good experiences and came back in a good frame of mind.
Are you like me? Do you like looking out for players that you've heard a lot about, but maybe you haven't watched as much because you're so invested in the Premier League? The likes of Xavi Simons, the likes of Lamine Yamal, players that not exposed to quite as much as those in the domestic league.
Yeah, definitely. I think like watching the countries, especially in the European Championships, I thought was really good. I think it was a really good festival of football. I thought there was a lot of good quality, and as you say, players that you might not be so aware of or haven't watched as many times as maybe some of the others. I think it was really good to see them and see them on the international stage in high profile games, see how they handle those environments. I think it's really interesting from a scouting perspective for us. So yeah, I think being a football lover, you're always going to love the tournaments and especially the drama towards the end.
Are you ever able to switch off from football? How difficult is it? Because I mean, when I'm covering a tournament, I'm working as well, but I got to enjoy the Euros without doing TV work. First time in a decade where I can just relax and watch football. When's the last time you've been able to do that without thinking about work?
Probably when I was playing, really. I think when you go into management, I think your view of the game just changes. I think watching a game for enjoyment probably ceases to exist because you're always looking at players, tactical ideas. You're looking at the game from a totally different viewpoint. When I was playing and watching a game on telly, you're just watching it for pure enjoyment and maybe relaxation. There's very minimal relaxation when you're in the coaching management world. It's that sort of goes away, and maybe I'll revisit that later in life.
All right, understood. Let's look at pre-season. There was a great piece. One of your players kept a diary, and it was published on The Athletic. Gave a little bit of insight into Newcastle's trip to Japan. Very much a player's perspective. But what about for you as a manager? Pre-season for you, what's the most important thing?
Well, I'm interested about this diary, to be honest. Who was it?
One of your goalkeepers. That's all I'll say.
Okay. Is it a secret? Okay.
Not really a secret. He sang a song. He put that in the story. I can't remember which song it
Was it
was now.
interesting? Was it?
It was interesting, yes, about how you balance, building relationships with the players, having a fun element to things. He lost a bowling competition. He had to sing in front of the whole squad. You know what I'm talking about, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, it was fun. It was a good read, but it was also a perspective of what life is like as a third or fourth choice goalkeeper. But what he brings to what he brings to the team, how important he is, and giving a team talk ahead of the PSG match, for example. But anyway, sorry, I digress.
Yeah. No, but that's exactly it. So my job is to try and organise that and to try and make the trip challenging, entertaining, fun. But make sure the priority is always the team, and make sure the team is best prepared it can be for the Premier League season. So a lot of planning obviously goes into that, and a lot of thought about what we're doing. So from my perspective, I think when I go on those tours, it's literally you're working continually from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to sleep. They're very intense periods.
That's when the players are under your watch before the season starts. What about when they're on their break? How keen are you for them to maintain their fitness? I was speaking to one player last week, Anthony Elanga, and he was saying he likes to do pre-season pre-fitness, if you get what I mean. Staying fit in the off season leading up to pre-season. Are you keen for that, or do you want players to be able to switch off physically and mentally?
Well, definitely, I think there's a mental load that needs to be released. That they can't be sort of in work mode the whole time. Otherwise, they're going to come back and feel stagnant. So I do believe in a mental refresh. I do believe in holidays. I do believe in switching off from the game totally. But also there's a balance to that, and you need to come back fit enough to tolerate the pre-season effort that's ahead. So I'd probably say a mix of relaxation and fitness. But it's different for different people depending on the seasons they've had, and also if they've played international football. So it's not one thing for everybody.
No. I remember I talked to Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. He was telling me in terms of long distance running, he was lost. He was with the goalkeepers. Sprints, he's right up there at the top. So I guess it's very subjective and the individual and where they are on the pitch. You were in Japan, as we know. Did you enjoy what Asia has to offer, particularly Japan itself? Such a fascinating country, such a beautiful country as well.
An amazingly beautiful country, and I didn't get to see any of it. I got to see a hotel room, really. But no, the bits that I did see looks really interesting. Very grateful to the people of Japan for making us feel so welcome and looking after us during our stay. Certainly somewhere I'd love to go back and see more of the actual country itself, but really positive impressions.
Do you think the humidity, the heat helps the players in terms of conditioning? Because it's tough. It is brutal. I'm in Malaysia. This is as humid as it gets in the world.
Yeah, I don't think if you ask the players at the time, they would say it helped them. I'd say they certainly said it didn't. But yeah, there's a definite training effect for us that we can benefit from coming back to England. I mean, it was extreme heat. It really was. You could feel it the minute you stepped outside. I didn't expect that, to be honest. It was one of the things that surprised me about the country, just how hot it was. And I think that affected our performances in the games. I don't think we were particularly great, but I do think we can benefit for it in the Premier League.
What about the reception from the Japanese fans for Newcastle? Did it give you a better understanding of how big a club Newcastle are? Because, I mean, I was reading reports, and I wasn't there, obviously, but reading reports that Shola Amiobi, someone I've worked with, but long retired, there's queues to get his autograph, get a picture from him. I mean, even the current players would be double that probably.
Well, it's funny you should say that because I queue to get a photo with him and an autograph every day. Shola.
He's a legend. He's a Toon legend.
He's an absolute legend of this football club. But it never surprises me how big Newcastle is. Wherever we go, the support we get is amazing. And that can be America, that can be Asia, that can be you name it. There's Newcastle supporters everywhere. And I think it's only growing and getting bigger. But they all share the mindset of Geordies. You know, they're very positive, very upbeat about our future, and it's great to see.
Is it a fine balance when you're on pre-season to strike it just perfectly for players to relax, to recuperate, to rest, to train, to play matches, and fulfill any club or sponsor obligations? Because that's probably one of your trickiest tasks, managing that workload.
Yeah, I think we got it right. I think that there is a balance again. I think you have to, you're going the other side of the world. You have to expose your players to the people. You know, you have to open your doors to them, and it's part of the players' journey and education as well. You know, they want to see the people. So I think that's really powerful and beneficial. But of course, you have to do it at the right times. The players have to get their rest, and of course, you have to work. The pre-season is a time of work for us. It's a time where we need to embed all our principles of play. So when the Premier League kicks off, you see a recognisable Newcastle team.
I have to ask as well about last season, and I'm asking it now simply because you've had a further 2 months to reflect on everything that happened from August of last year till May of this year. Because during the time, if I was to ask you, even at the end of the season, you're probably still very invested in it. Now you've had a time to step back. How do you assess the last campaign? Because 2 years ago, it was Champions League qualification, slight drop last season. And how much of that is down to injuries, do you feel?
Yeah, I think last season was really difficult. I think on a number of fronts, just the number of games we had to start with affected us, especially during December, which was a really difficult month. I think overall, I thought it was a season of real progress, and I don't say that lightly. I do think we improved a lot. I'm talking overall. I'm looking at the club. I'm looking at the team. I think we've improved and moved on. Of course, our league position dropped. I thought the Premier League standard was very high last year. That was a really tough league. And of course, we missed some massive players for us that no doubt hurt us at times during that season. But I think for all those experiences grouped together, we can come back stronger, hopefully. But we know the Premier League will have moved on again and the standard would have improved. So, of course, we have to improve with it.
When it comes to injuries, if something happens in training or on a match day, if it's an impact injury from another player, you can't plan for that, of course. But are you taking active steps to mitigate other forms of injuries to prevent what happened last season occurring again this upcoming campaign?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got a new head of performance, or director of performance in James Bunt's come to the football club, who's overseeing everything medically and sports science. And I think his experience will be invaluable for us. So we are taking, and the club has taken wise steps, I think, to try and improve our delivery for the players and improve everything that we do for them. So I think whenever you get injuries, and I've said this many times, there's multiple factors. There's not one factor. It's always a combination of lots of little things. And hopefully we can improve that this year.
Fingers crossed, definitely. What are you most excited about for this upcoming season?
What am I most excited about? I just think always you get a buzz seeing the team gel together. So it'll be slightly different. It always is every year, maybe some new faces. But how well can those players gel together? And what team could we be? What could we create this year? We don't know now, sat here. We're only going to find out. And that's the beauty of the journey we're going to go on.
Can I ask, Newcastle, they're often linked to a lot of players. I mean, a lot. One of the most probably in the Premier League, and they can't all be true. I would presume 80% are false reports or just rumours. When you read them, if you do read them, do you just sit back and just laugh to yourself about all these assumptions being made in the outside world?
Yes, Lee, our head of media, will slip me bits of paper with who we're being linked with, and a lot of the time I just shake my head and... But I think naturally there's a lot of news and there's a lot of papers and pages that need to be filled. So, as you say, all the rumours can't be true. We can't, even I couldn't scout 100 players in a day. So, yeah, a lot of the names aren't there. We look at a very small pool of players because we're at the elite level. There's only a small pool of players that we could actually recruit from. But if it puts people off track to actually what we're really doing, I'm all for it.
All right, I've got 1 minute left, so final few questions. To summarise, what can we expect from Eddie Howe's Newcastle this coming season?
Well, I think the basic fundamentals that I need to see are hard work, dedication, the team giving everything to try and win, total commitment, fire in supporting and playing for the badge that we represent and the city that we represent. I want to see all those qualities in abundance, and then if we're good enough on the back of that to win some games, hopefully we can have a great season.
Can I also ask about the kit? Because I think the new Newcastle kit is gorgeous. I'm putting it right in the top 3 for this season. You get to give it a rating out of 10. I'm going to say 9. What do you say?
I'm saying 9.5. I really like it as well. I think Adidas have done a great job with all the kits this year, not just the home kit, but the second kit and the third kit. I think they're brilliant additions, and the lads will be really proud wearing them.
Yeah. Final thing, do you have a message for the Malaysian Newcastle fans? Because there's quite a few here, and they're very passionate. They're very invested in what you're doing with the club over in the northeast of England.
Well, it's a massive thank you for all your support. We really do value it and appreciate it. We'd love to come and visit you all one day. And yeah, keep supporting us, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All the best for the season, and I hope to
Thank
speak to
you.
you again soon.
You
Bye.
too.